Okay, so this is my video 2 to explain Weber's theory. Okay, so Weber's theory. So bear in mind that Weber's theory is one example of interactionism. Okay, the way they see, the way he sees religion will be totally different if compared to, if you compare this with Marxists, functionalists, or even the feminists. Okay, so if you can see this, the pink, okay, the pink background here. Okay, so two things that you have to take into account. So for Weber's theory, okay, religion can promote social change. That's number one. Number two, it encourages social stability depending on the theodicies that dominates the belief system. So two things that you have to take note. It can act as a catalyst for social change. That's number one. Or, okay, here social change. Or it can create, okay, stability, ensure stability depending on the, okay, theodicy. So theodicy, what does it mean? So I will further explain later on, all right, as we go along, that dominate the belief system. So for this lecture, I will be dividing it into two parts. Part one, the role of religion, and part two, the Protestant ethics and the spirit of capitalism. Okay, I know I already explained to you briefly when I did an essay structure with you, but I think I need to explain again so that you understand better. Okay, all right. Now, first part, role of religion. Not only Marxists talk about the role of religion, not only functionalists talk about the role of religion, and even the feminists talk about religion, Weber too also talk about the role of religion. Why? Because he believed that religion exists, okay, in order to, right, satisfy individuals' need. So what kind of individuals' need are being satisfied here? According to Weber, it meets the need of individual based on the psychological and as well as social needs. What does psychological needs mean? It means that it acts as a theodicies or theodicies. It acts as a psychological need. Okay, it acts as a comfort to those who in need, especially those from the working class background or oppressed background. So they use religion in order to satisfy or to have an answer why their situation like this, or they use religion as an instrument to go against the society. Okay, so that they feel secure, so that they feel that they belong into that society. Okay, this is very important, especially those in a state of transition. We call that cultural transition. Those who migrate, immigrants, they use religion in order to satisfy their or to satisfy or to meet their psychological need. Cultural, okay guys, this is going to be taking so long. Cultural transition. Okay, cultural transition. Yeah, so two things that is mentioned here. First thing first, it acts as an ideology. It's still used as an ideology, especially to those who come from the powerful group, in order to justify a system of inequality. That's number one. And number two, religion could also bring about or acts as a catalyst to change society. Two things. That's the role of the religion, guys. Met the social and the psychological needs. How? Either religion is used as an ideology to justify inequality, or it is used to change the society. Okay. Now, to understand Weber's theory, you have to take into account the word theodicy. I already mentioned this. In Haralamb's textbook, there is theodicy. Okay, theodicy of disprivilege, theodicy of privilege in the Haralamb's textbook. But for this, I just use the word theodicies of fortunate and the theodicies of misfortunate. The fortune and the misfortune. Okay, so why is it very important, guys? Remember, Weber mentioned that religion is the same like an idea. Okay, belief system based on idea. So Weber argued that different social group, whether you're talking about gender, okay, whether you're talking about class, okay, whether you talk about ethnicities, the blacks, okay, the Rastafarian, good example, okay, or the whites, the Indian, the Pakistani, there are the different types of ethnicity. Okay, they attach different meanings. Okay, they understand differently, they experience differently. Okay, when they link it to religion. So you can see here different religious ideas, okay, tend to be used in order to understand and explain their experience. So the way they see religion might not be the same as the way you see or believe or the way you define religion. So this goes back to our handout, the first handout, defining of religion. So this is linked to the social constructionist theory. Okay, now, so you can see these two tables. The first one is theodicies of fortunate, theodicies of misfortunate. This is how they see religion. This is how they define religion. So theodicies of fortunate, religion explain why some social group are fortunate. So religion is used as an ideology to justify inequality. So for example, middle class, they use this to justify their position. Ruling class, for example, they use this to justify their position. Okay, whereas for the theodicies of the misfortunate, they explain, okay, it is used to explain why some social groups are misfortunate, why religion, okay, benefit this privileged group or the poor immigrants. So when they use this, okay, it helps to bring social change. Okay, they use religion in order to explain why they were so disprivileged, why they were deprived. So they use religion to change the society. All right. Now for this one, by the end of the lesson, you need to do this. Okay, I want you to write in the form of WhatsApp because your attendance will be taken. So refer to Max Weber notes sent via WhatsApp and summarize. Number one, Cristiano and Swatos, 2008, theories on theodicies of good fortune and theodicies of misfortune. Okay, very important. Okay, so let's proceed to the part 2. Okay, this is the most interesting part. This one I didn't explain in detail last time, but I will try to explain a bit lah, so that you understand further. Alright, so part 2. Okay, so Weber, he used a case study. He studied globally. Interesting about Weber, he studied global. The lacking part of functionalists, especially Durkheim, he studied small scale. Whereas for Weber, he studied large scale. The reason why he studied large scale in order to explain how, okay, religion is can act, okay, as a social change, can initiate social change. So how did he do it? He studied this Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. What is this, guys? What is this? Okay, so basically in the 14th century, 15th century, 16th century, 17th century, he was interested to understand why industrialization happened, why it first happened in the European countries, why industrial revolution happened in the Europe country, guys. So he was interested to understand why. So what did he do? He did cross-cultural evidence. Okay, cross-cultural evidence. Why? To compare different society. So what society did he compare? He studied China, guys. He studied Middle Eastern country. He studied Europe country. Why? Because he wanted to understand the industrialization pattern in different countries. Surprise, surprise. European country was the first country or was the first region to industrialize. Good example is the Industrial Revolution. Now, the question is, he said that Middle Eastern country, in terms of civilization, they were the first. Okay? They were the first country to civilize. China, surprisingly, based on his study, in terms of technology, they tend to have more advanced technology compared to the European country. So how can he explain the this this change, massive change, social change? So according to him, it must be religion. Okay, it must be religion that changed the society to becoming more industrialized. So what did he do? So he studied the Protestantism and the Calvinism. So Calvinism, it was founded by John Calvin, very charismatic religious leader, lots of followers. So what did he do? So what are the characteristics? So according to his study, in terms of work ethic, they tend to live in a very ascetic life. Simple life, guys. A simple life. They believe in the idea of vocation or calling. It means that we will put on earth to glorify God's name by our work. So the more work you produce, okay, the more work you show, it means that the better people you are. And they believe that life is based on predestination. What does it mean? It means that God had predetermined which soul would be saved and not be saved. So it means that this cannot change, guys. So how can they change this? How can they give good news to themselves? They work. They change this by working. Now, yeah, what do? They develop a set of values which embodied hard work, thrift, okay, and as well as accumulation of wealth, not for personal use but for the society's use. Okay, so the name of this set of values is what we call theodicies of Calvinism. Okay, theodicies of Calvinism. And as a consequence of this character and this belief, this naturally, okay, lend themselves to the spirit of capitalism, which, all right, led to industrialization of Northern Europe. Now, why Northern Europe? Why not other countries? This is because Calvinism was more prominent in that country in comparison to others. So these are some of the modern examples of Protestant religion: Methodism, Calvinism, Amish, Quakers. It's supposed to be Quakers, guys, not Quakers, and Baptists. Baptists, not Baptist. Oh my God. Okay, now student activity. By using other sociologists, criticize Weber's theory on the Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism. What are the three types of leaders mentioned in the handout given via WhatsApp? And how can charismatic religious leader lead to social change? So these are the three questions that I want you to do. So we'll do follow up, inshallah, tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much, guys.